I see you wearing Philly International, so we can actually jump in right there. But first, I want to welcome you to the latest edition of To Be Continued, which is Promotion's online interview series with the legends of disco. And clearly, you are at the top of the list, no question. So,
well, I'm glad my mixes are. Let's put it that way.
Well, and you are too. No false modesty, not necessary here. We take credit for the things we do.
Oh no, that's sincere modesty. Trust me, because if it weren't for those songs, I wouldn't be here. Trust me on that one.
So I'm going to start this interview with the first and last name of one and two people. You tell me if you know who they are. You probably have not heard these names in years. Are you ready? Cy and Eileen Berlin. Who are they, Tom?
Tom, we have this girl, Grace Jones, and they used to send me little notes at Billboard. Oh, we love your mix and blah, 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 and all this stuff, right? Then they call me one day. We have this girl that we want you to produce. I said, I'm not producing. I just don't want any part of it. Oh, but we only want you. You know, we've always loved your mixes. And I said, oh, God, how do I? And, you know, and Eileen is so sweet. So it's like kicking a puppy if you say no. You know, it's one of those things, right? But that's how I got to do Grace Jones, is because of her. And Cy, her husband.
Well, not only did you mix those, but you produced those.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people know that. Tell me about your story. So as a kid, I know you worked in record shops, as I believe, and then you also worked for King Records.
Yeah,
which was the original label for James Brown.
Yeah, but myself and four of the kids, because we were kids, we were still teenagers, we all wanted to get out of Schenectady. So we thought, hey, let's go to California. Well, I ended up in California, and of course, to adjust leaving home and being on your own, and it was kind of a tough hoe for me, because I you know, just so much happening at once, and you know, and I was still a kid, you know, and I really felt lost. But anyway, I got involved with some people, and they got me this job at Seaberg, the jukebox people. They had a one-stop, so I was there helping, and you know, the salesman would come in and say, you know, what about this record? What about this? What about that? No, I don't like that. I like this. So I kept picking the records we should buy, and so my boss said, you know, you ought to, you know, you just handle the 45s, because you seem to be buying all the right ones. And that's how I got my feet wet with that. And this one kid, who was a nice kid, he worked for California Distributors, and he goes, oh, Tom, man, I just signed my first record, and oh, you got to hear it, you know. And it was on a little West Coast label called oh my God, Les McCann's on that label too. Anyway, I played the record, and he's got a great voice, and he only made one record, and then all of a sudden he quit, and I never heard from him again. And then one day I saw him, he became a big comedian, and it was Rudy Ray Moore. And I couldn't believe he was the kid that used to deliver the records. I mean, he wasn't a kid, he was 10 years older than me, but that was kind of interesting, you know, where you meet people and they cross you in your life, and then you meet them again later. And it's kind of interesting. Same thing with Les McCann. Anyway, I did that, and then I was a real nut job for stereo, still am. And somebody told me, like San Francisco, that Muntz, he owned the copy, or he owned the patent to that. Remember 8 tracks in a car? I'm talking about the big cartridges where you switch, play one side than the other. Anyway, that was it. So I went to work for him, and of course, that was great. And of course, I had it in my car. So naturally, when I pull up to a stoplight, I crank it up, and then people are pressing the buttons in the radio trying to find out where you get that sound from. I said, you know, 8 track, you know. I mean, it was so funny. And then I got to work for King Records. That's when I worked for King Records. And then, of course, I met God. Oh, my God. Oh, please.
What is it, Tom? What is it?
Yeah, I know. It's a Panasonic 8-track player.
That's right.
So,
It's called the Push and Play.
Push and Play. That almost sounds like a soul record.
Yeah. You jump from this
I went,
company.
well, because I was in San Francisco. So I was already working there. And someone said, hey, I met a kid. He's a little guy. His name was Tony Marino. And he became a famous promotion man. And anyway, I forget how I met him. And he's the one that introduced me to King Records, because I couldn't, I had a mouth about this record. Oh man, this record's great and that record's great, and we talked shop. And he said, you'd be good for promotion. So he introduced me to Cal at King Records, and I got the job as a salesman and promotion. So and then Pete Marino took me around, different radio stations, outside of San Francisco, and taught me how to promote. And he was really nice guy, but very outgoing. Every time he stopped at a light, he had that reflector on the light, and I said, Peter, I said, your face looks like your brown shoes already. So I don't want to get lines. Nobody,
Tom.
the light. Nobody have that thing like this at the light. I said the light's green now. Okay, thanks. Then he goes. Now I see. Now see why I have take you around.
I have never heard a story of somebody who used a reflector in traffic, but I remember, this is what you say. Did I get any color? My father?
He was so brown. He was so brown anyway.
Brown like luggage leather. So and King Records, of course, is the label that signed James Brown.
Allah. That's when I met him. I was so nervous and I was twitching.
Tell me the story.
Anyway, he came to King Records. This right when he had what was it?
Please.
Oh no, it was after that. Was it Triangle? No, he was just getting away from the Famous Flames. Yeah, it might have been Night Train. And he pulled up in the white limo, and we went outside to meet him. And the driver opens the door, and Cal said hello and everything. He says, this is our new rep, Tom Moulton. This is Mr. James Brown.
Mr. Brown, that's right.
Yeah, and I said, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually meeting you. And then I said, I remember when a few years back, you played in Albany, New York, and I was the only white guy in the audience. And he goes, yeah, I remember you. I thought, okay, all right. Well, I kind of believed it, but you know what I mean. But I learned later that could have been a little BS. But anyway,
he was a good promotion man.
And so anyway, we talked and everything, and then he said, give me some skin on the dark side. I wore a plastic glove in my hand for a week not to wash off his.
Fantastic.
And I kept saying, why are you wearing a plastic glove? James Brown touched my hand on the dark side.
Were you really wearing a plastic glove?
Yeah, but one of those plastic dishwashing gloves. Absolutely.
Playtex. I love it.
No, but I mean, well, what would you do if you met God? No, but he was God. I mean, no, but I mean,
God.
I mean,
I don't think where
no, but I mean, this guy was so
of course,
on top of the mountain for me, and
absolutely.
And then he goes, I want you to meet my protege, Yvonne Fair. My protege. And I finally learned what protege was too. So
yeah, well, there you go. You get an English lesson from James Brown alone.
You always called him Mr. Brown. You never called him James or anything. So
yeah.
But he was. It was just an honor to meet somebody like that.
Of course.
Especially an idol.
And isn't that one of the reasons that we're in the business in a strange way, that, you know, when I meet legends, I feel like I'm 6 or 7 years old. I mean, that's the win, you know, it's not anything predictable, but that's the win. So you work for King Records, I believe, until the late 50s, early 60s, and
Early
then something
60s.
happens. And something
Oh
happens.
no, my grandmother got really sick, so I had to move back east. And she got better, and then I just couldn't go back to California because that's really not my lifestyle. It's not, you know, hey, everything's beautiful, and you know, that kind of sort of like you're running at half speed, you know. Not that Schenectady and Albany is running at full speed, but it's a little faster than that. So then I went to Boston for a weekend, and you know, I'm always going into record stores. So this woman kept asking for records, and the clerk had to keep going to the Rolodex. Remember our phonologue, Rolodex? I say Rolodex,
Yeah.
Phonologue. And finally, I said, he said, "What? Well, do you have this record by Dion and Bill?" It's Laurie. It's still on the blue label. And finally, every record he mentioned, I mentioned the label where they could find it, who the artist was. And so this guy came out from back. He said, "Where you working?" I goes, "What do you mean, where am I working?" He said, "Where you working?" And I said, "No, I'm not from around here." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "From Schenectady." "Well, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm here for the weekend." "Want a job?" No. "Well, if you ever do, come back and see me." I said, "Okay." So then finally, grandma was okay, and then my sister moved back to Schenectady. So I figured, well, let me try it and see. Sure enough, I went there, and I started working because I told him. He said, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to get, you know, in promotion and sales." And he says, "Look, our distributor, you know, we have all the guys we need right now, but we need somebody down in Jesus Christ, how the hell I forget the names? Braintree, down in Braintree, which is just south of Boston." He said, we're opening a brand new craze there. And Harry, God, I forgot Harry's last name here, Harry Steinberg. Harry said, you know, he was the boss. He said, "But, you know, you know a lot about music, and you'd be good there." And of course, I was constantly pushing stereo all the time, and we weren't allowed to play records. So somebody would come in and say, "Do you have this record?" I said, "Mono or stereo?" "Which is cheaper?" I said, "Excuse me?" You know, "Which is cheaper?" I said, "Let me ask you something. Do you have a speaker over here and a speaker over there?" "Yes." I said, "Okay." "Yeah, and you're not supposed to open the record." So, you know, I'm doing like that. For the shrink wrap, I open it up and I pull out the stereo and I hit the mono button. I said, "This is what you buy." "Yeah, that's exactly what I want." I said, "Fine. That's $298 or $398." And then
45. Is that an
huh?
album? Is that an album? A full, it's an album.
Album
Album, of course.
398. Remember?
Right.
Oh,
Album. Yeah.
yeah. You know, that was back in the
Right.
days. So anyway, I said, "You like that, right?" "Yes." "Now listen to this." And then I took out the mono button, and then, oh my God. Ah. And I said, "And that's only $1 more." And they said, "Oh, I'll take that." Well, there was a big write-up in Billboard how they never mentioned my name naturally, but anyway, they said the guy in this store, in the Braintree store, Craze, it was like what they usually sell is 92% mono and 8% stereo. Well, we were selling like 80% stereo, and only because I would ask people. And then when Fred Hartstone found out, he was so pissed at me. Oh, he says, "Hey, you're just supposed to sell him. You're not supposed to promote him." I said, "But Fred, I mean, these people don't know." And if I hear which is cheaper one more time, I'm literally going to kill somebody,
No
because
good deed goes unpunished.
no, but I mean, no, but I couldn't take that. What's cheaper?
Right.
And
Right.
then finally, the Supremes come out with an album, the Where Did I Love Go album. And I said, and so I peeled back the cover. I was always peeling back the back of the cover and said stereo underneath. Well, who's going to buy that crap in stereo, right? So anyway, I insisted that I want them. Well, you have to get 25. And I'm telling you, Tom, if you don't sell all 25 of them, I said, all right. And I really got scared. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, so many people came in for that damn album. I said, and the same thing. I said, yeah, here, it's the stereo. Well, how much is the mono? I said, you have a stereo system? And I had to do the same thing. Yeah. Well, here, you tell me which one you want. So, yeah, that's it. And I said, before you go to the cash register, listen. And then blink, blink, blink. Oh my God. Oh. I mean, I'm saying to myself, there's something wrong here. Why does everybody go like, oh my God, listen to that when they hear stereo?
Well,
And but it drove me crazy because you want people to love music. And all these people were like, oh my God, listen to that. I said, tell them, I know. And
well,
that's the one thing I miss about retail. And the thing about retail that's so wonderful is you find out immediately if you got a hit on your hands, because 10 people come, I just heard this record, and I got to have it, right? It takes so long for that information to get back to the record company. It's almost like it's a month later, and that's a year really in time when you think about it. So
you mentioned something, the connection between Boston and your sister, and you're one of 5 kids, right?
7
kids. And your parents were musicians?
Well, standard jazz, yeah.
What they playing?
Well, my father played guitar. He's Philadelphia, and then my mother was organist, pianist, and they wouldn't play together because my father's timing was a little bad.
That's great. But they stayed married.
No, unfortunately, Tommy always liked Polish women because I don't know why he liked them, but I have a lot of half brothers and sisters. Trust me on that one.
So you're a junior.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So Braintree works well for you.
Then finally, I went to Fred and I said, Fred, look, I love retail, but you promised me, Tom, we have 3 promotion men because we have London Records. See, his brother Lee Hartstone ran London Records, and they had a lot of small labels like Monument, High, all these great labels that had a lot of hits on them. Liberty, they handled Liberty, and he says, look, let me talk to over RCA needs somebody, and I'll put in a good word for you. So I got to work with RCA, and as much as I loved it, it was a nightmare because they said, well, you're really doing well, Tom, but we want to put you in brown goods. I said, brown goods? Well, white goods was Whirlpool. We had Whirlpool. RCA, remember, records and RCA were all, the record division wasn't separate then. It was still all one thing. So, and I said, brown goods, brown goods is like televisions, brown. They called it brown goods and white goods. And I said, why do I want to do that? Well, we like to promote people within the company. I go, yeah, but I'm in it for the music. I don't want to, I'm not interested in doing that. So anyway, Lenny Gordon, who was the Capitol promotion man and salesman, and we kind of, he said, look at you, United Artists is breaking away, and United Artists and Liberty are going to start opening branches. So, I want to get you and I want to get Bernie. Oh, I forgot Bernie's last name too. Jesus. And, I want to get, other promotion men that we knew. So all of us went to work for Liberty UA. And that's how I got back into promotion.
early 60s now.
No, that's late 60s. So, and still, you know, and in fact, this, I went, when I was with RCA, this kid kept bothering me, this crazy kid. And he said, oh, and you know, I knew I wanted to do something other than, you know, I wanted to get into creative things. So anyway, I liked this kid so much. His name was Barry Cohen. Oh my God, what a guitar player. I mean, that kid, oh, I mean, he was awesome. More rock, but I mean, he really was an amazing guitar player. So I went to the studio in Boston. I says, look, you know what, it's going to cost me this and that, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, what about, you know, and then he said, that's going to be, you know, the engineer's extra. So Alan said, oh, I hear this really hot shot kid and works for Motown. Maybe you could try to get him. You could fly him in, maybe get a deal on him. And so anyway, I said, okay. I mean, he's really good because I didn't know. I had no idea how to do this. So anyway, flew him in. He was a nice kid, little tiny kid. His name was Tony Bon Jovi, and that's and, and then it was only later that I reminded Tony. I said, Tony, you don't remember where we first met, do you? No. Why? What do you want to know for? I go, Boston. Never been there. I said, oh yes, you were. So, and then all of a sudden it was like, he looked, no, you weren't the same guy. I said, trust me, I was. So, but that was very funny because it was almost like 8 years later. But
when did you make the transition from the music business to the modeling business?
all right.
And why?
During the time I worked for Liberty UA, I constantly fought them all the time. I kept saying, you know, we have meetings, and to make a record happen, you need promotion, you know, sales, and advertising, and you have to have those three things. And if you take any one of them out, you're screwed. So why can't we have a meeting with advertising and sales? I mean, we got to. I mean, you got to let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. I don't know. I said, can we at least try? Well, I kept pushing that. And it seemed to be a lot easier when you had these people. And I was always opening my mouth. I mean, either with Bud Dane, who was Jackie DeShannon's husband, or Bob Scaff, and you know, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And you know, and you say, why don't you shut the fuck up and just promote your record? You know, we don't need any more an A&R. And so I got to really love a guy named Eddie Levine. And I mean, to me, he was one of the best promotion men, and he looked like a gangster. You know, he'd say, how the fuck are you, Moulton? You out there threatening somebody to play your record? You know, that's how he talked. But he was a great guy. And finally, I said, hey, when are you going to give me an exclusive so I can go up to Mel Phillips at RKO and like get him to add one of our records? So he says, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the next Goldsboro record. Mm. So he sent me an acetate and I listened to it. So I went over to RKO.
Is that what you're talking about, Bobby Goldsboro?
Huh? Bobby Goldsboro. I had a Bobby Goldsboro record, right? And so I go over there and I went to Mel's secretary and she says, Tom, you know, Mel only sees record people on Mondays. I got it. I got an exclusive for him. And, you know, RKO was part of the Drake chain, which was the #1 chain, you know, they had in all the key markets. I mean, that was programmed. But I knew that a program director, if he heard a record he liked, he could add it. So, and of course my voice carries. So Mel opens the door. I said, what's going on out here? And he goes, Tom, what are you doing here? I said, Mel, I got an exclusive for you. Tom, I don't want to hear it. Who is it? Bobby Goldsboro. Really?
Was it,
Bobby Goldsboro's got a new record?
was it Honey?
No, it was after Honey. And I play it for him. He goes, it's a fucking smash. So I call up New York. I said, RKO just added the new Goldsboro record, because they're playing it, and all of a sudden you hear RKO exclusive, RKO exclusive. You know, you hear that in the and I call Bob Scaff, and Bob Scaff, Tom, we don't have a new Goldsboro record. He said, don't you think if we had a new Goldsboro record, I would personally go up there and give it to Mel Phillips? See, they always, you know, I was just the local flunky promotion man, but the national guy, if it's like a Johnny Rivers or something, they would go and deliver it. And anyway, he said, where'd you get it from? I said, Eddie sent it to me. Eddie Levine sent it to me overnight. And so I forget his secretary's name. He says, get Eddie on the phone. Hello, you know. Eddie, what's with the new Goldsboro record? See, I couldn't get a hold of Eddie because he was out of the office, so he must have came back. And he said, what's the new Goldsboro record? And he goes, we don't have a new Goldsboro record. And he said, well, what is the new Bobby Goldsboro that Tom got on RKO? And he goes, no shit. Exactly what he said. And then he said, oh, I got another call. Click. He hung up. And you know, I mean, I'm holding the bag here, and I go, what's going on? I didn't. And then John Davis, who not the John Davis in Philadelphia, but that was a British guy. That was Eddie's assistant. And I said, I got the new Goldsboro. You know, he gave me the new Goldsboro. He says, Moulton, don't be an idiot. He says, you kept hounding him all the time for an exclusive. And he just took the first record that was rejected, on the pile of rejects, and sent it to you just to keep your mouth shut. He knew you'd never do anything with it. Was Glad She's a Woman. And it became a big hit. But they played it, and they said it's going to be 8 weeks before we can get records in the market. That's saying 2018, 14, it got in the top 10, and it started to break nationally. And they were really, and I almost lost my job, and it was Bobby Goldsboro who saved my job. I mean, I just, you know, I wanted to be, you know, if you hear something, you know, so then Bud Dane, he's Imperial, right? So he sends me this exclusive album, right? He said, we're coming out with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And I went, oh, okay, they're all right. And he sent me an acetate, and I listened to the whole thing. And the last cut on the B-side was Mr. Bojangles. And I said, now that is a hit. And all I heard was, see, Moulton, that's your problem. That record came out by the writer. It came out like 6 months ago, and it got to number 90 on Billboard, and it dropped. It's an album cut. It's an album cut. I said, okay. Sure enough, the album comes out. All of a sudden, stations start playing Mr. Bojangles, and they release that single, goes all the way to number 1. So I tape, because I learned to tape when I called anybody from, you know, anybody high up. I always tape recorded the calls because I wasn't going to get screwed in. Because I got screwed when somebody told me, you know, Mick Jagger's singing on the record, but you can't say anything. And I was telling people Mick Jagger sang on it, and it was a lie. And then the guy who told me said, I don't know where you got that from. And I went, oh, is this how we play the game? So I started taping all my conversations. So we had a big meeting in Las Vegas. And Bud Dane said, and this is when Mr. Bojangles was number 1 in the country. Oh, we always knew it was a hit, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm laughing. What are you laughing at? I got my little tape recorder. Hey, Moulton, it's an album cut. It's never going to go anywhere. and I almost got canned for that too.
Safe to assume you're sort of becoming disenchanted with the record business.
Well, no,
That's
because of all the lying and the slimy, you know, see, and that's why I wanted no part of it.
Is that when you went into the modeling business?
That's when I became a model.
Well, I mean, that's not a natural transition, clearly.
Well, let me explain something. Well, first of all, I went to Europe because I'd never been to Europe. And I was supposed to go to France, Denmark, England. I forget what the original plan was. Anyway, when I got to Denmark, I'd never been around people that where everybody was nice. I mean, just everybody talks soft. Nobody talks loud. You go into a restaurant, you hear a pin drop. And I said, well, you know, here, you know, people are talking like, well, why would you want to impose your anger or your laughter on somebody else? They're here trying to eat. So what? And I thought, wow, this is, you know, so I wanted to live there. It was so nice. I mean, people were so laid back and nice. So what happened? I went to this bar into the hotel I was staying at, and this guy comes up to me and says, you know, puts Vigo home. I go, excuse me? He says, Vigo home. I said, I don't think so. I thought he was saying we go home. And I'm trying to explain. So fine, I said to the bartender, I said, you know, this guy's, you know, hitting on me or something because I don't like it. And I said, is this a gay bar or something? He said, no. And so they're talking, and he's, no. His name is Vigo Home. And I felt, I mean, is my face red now? Because, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. And then I'm trying to say, you know what I thought you meant? And this and that. And he goes, yes. He didn't, I mean, I was trying to explain it. And I said, yes. I wanted to die. I mean, I wanted to die. And I said, you know, I thought you were, yes. I mean, he didn't, you know. And then I told somebody else, said, look in the phone book. I mean, Holmes was the biggest. There was more Holmes in the phone book. And Vigo is such a common, there was tons of Vigo Holmes.
So who was Vigo Home?
He happened to be a dentist. And he was just, you know, I guess he could tell I was American. And, you know, he was just struck up a, you know, I mean, he wasn't gay or anything. He was just friendly. I don't, you know, anyway, he invited me over to dinner with some of his friends, and the people were, I can't tell you how nice they were. I mean, just nice, sweet, down to earth people. So he lived across the park. So anyway, I went over there, and then of course he said, you know, the English was spotty, but he said, I'm inviting you over for dinner with friends, because he kept saying with friends, like it wasn't, you know. And anyway, I had to walk through the park, and this was like 8 o'clock. And
What year was this?
'72. No, it couldn't have been 72. It had to be, no, it was 70. What? Because I had to remember it. There's another part of it. Because I went back several more times because I love Denmark. So what happened was I walked through the park, and I saw this old couple sitting on a bench in the park. And I got there, and, you know, there was only 5 other people. And it was nice. It was nice. There were couples. But anyway, I said, I just saw the strangest thing. And they go, what? I said, I saw this real old couple in the park by themselves. And they're just looking at me really strange. And I said, you know, in New York, they'd be dead now. You know, I mean, there was nobody else. I mean, in the middle of the park, and they're just sitting there all by themselves. I mean, could you imagine that, this real old couple just sitting there in Central Park? No, I mean, and I kept saying it was the strangest thing to see. And they're going, and they're trying to understand me again. And I say, well, you know, New York, you know, they mug you or take the purse, and they just didn't get that. And I thought, wow, this is really weird. Well, anyway, the famous fricadilla story. He served something called is pronounced fricadella, fricadella, and it's kind of a pork dish that's ground up into something. Well, what happened? I was eating it, and my front tooth cracked. I lost the top part of, you know, this tooth, the front tooth. And I started chewing it, and you know, and then I cut my lip, and the blood, I mean, oh, it was a big mess. Well, anyway, I went to his office the next day, and he fixed it. And then it fell out. Then he had to fix it again. He says, you know, if you have a dentist in New York, you go back and have it done there. And he said, I pay for it. And I said, no, come on. And he said, no, it was my fault. I said, well, no, it was just one of those freak accidents. Well, anyway, I came back to New York, and I said, look, we have to fix it. He says, Tom, we got to grind down the tooth. It's your bite, you rest on those two teeth. So anyway, he ground it down, and when he hit the nerve, I thought I was gonna die. I mean, I was flying up on the seat, and he kept giving me injections in the roof of my mouth, and and afterwards, my whole upper, the roof of my mouth was white. He kept giving me so many needles, and finally, I got to the point where I broke. I didn't care anymore. I mean, the pain was so excruciating. I didn't care. And then he gets this all ground down. He's trying to take a cast. And he said, oh my God. He said, Tom, we're going to have to do the other tooth too. I said, what do you mean the other two? He said, because your bite is only going to be on the other front tooth. So we have to grind that down. Same thing. Well, when I left there, I tried to kill myself because I couldn't believe the pain. I said, you
Are you
know,
serious?
oh, I'm dead serious.
This is
I
after you
want,
came,
yes, this is when I came back, and I really wanted to kill myself because I couldn't believe I broke. I mean, I never had that much pain in my life. I mean, I just said, that's it. I can't take anymore. I mean, I just want to, I don't ask me why I wanted to kill myself, but I just said, I can't deal with pain like that anymore. So what happened was somebody talked to me on the 59th Street Bridge, and and you know, he said, you're not planning on doing anything, are you? I said, no,
wait a
why?
second. Hold on. You walked on the 59th Street Bridge
Yes.
because you were going to,
No, I was thinking about it because I couldn't think of ever going through that pain again. I'm telling you, that pain killed me. It absolutely, I mean, that pain was the worst pain I've ever had in my entire life. And to even think about it drove me crazy. And this guy was nice enough to talk to me because he says, you're not going to do anything. No. I said, I just, I don't know what I should do. And he said, well, you should always wait till the next day. So anyway, he talked me out of it. I lost so much weight because I didn't eat for almost 2 months. I was so afraid that these were going to fall off. And I only drank. So I hate to tell you how much weight I lost. But anyway, I got down to 156 pounds. And so somebody stopped me on the street and said, are you a model? I said, a model what? He said, No, but I didn't know what a model was. And he said, a model. I go, I don't know what you mean. For clothes. I go, God, no, I don't look like one of them, because, they're all, the sunken cheeks. And I mean, they look like, well, they'd never work in Chicago, I mean, they would be blown away from the lake. But I mean, it was just, I said, you got to be kidding me. A model? No, And anyway, he said, look, you really have a nice look. And I went, oh, what is this? This is not good. Because I thought I heard everything in Hollywood, but this was a new one. So anyway, he says, look, let me give you his name. He's a great photographer, and you should call him. And I didn't have a job. And so anyway, I called, and God, I can't remember even the guy's name, the other guy. Well, I take a certain drug now, which kind of screws up my memory. I take morphine because of the back operations I've had. So, and that does screw up my short-term memory. I mean, I really can't. Anyway, let's not get into that. No, but I mean, but that's what happens. Your short-term memory, all of a sudden, it's like things are just cut off. So anyway, I'm trying to think of his name. I mean, he's a famous photographer. I can't even think of his name.
Not Abaddon.
Oh no, I met Abaddon. Oh no, I got pictures from Abaddon. Absolutely.
You get these photos taken.
So anyway, I went to see him, and of course, when somebody looks at you as an item, I mean, not a person. I mean, that took a while for me to, like, you can't take things personally because it's not you, it's what you look like. What you look like is, yeah, I know. I mean, that takes an adjustment.
They're objectifying.
And I'm glad I was old enough to understand it, because most of the ones that I modeled with were like 18, 19. And oh my God, I can't believe it. 21, my life is on a downhill trek. I said, why are you telling me this stuff? I said, my God, I'm 30 years old, and you're telling me you're almost 21 and your life's over? Get away from me, And
interesting, and they're saying that to you, somebody who's thinking about.
Well, no, they're just because oh my God, look, oh, I got a line here, and I went, gee, these people are really sickos. I mean, I really thought that, but the thing, well, anyway, so I went over to see him. He says, okay, look, go in the changing room and take your shirt off. I said, for what? No, there's some shirts in there. Just try one on and come out. He said, we'll see if the camera likes you. Well, I thought that was a new one. I never heard that one before. Anyway, so I went in there and took some shots. He said, okay, do this and this. And taught me the trick about make believe you're holding a piece of paper in your hand, and you want to just get it to the point where you drop it. And that's how you hold your hand all the time, and you'll always look relaxed. And it's true, because most people do this or do this when they photograph, but if you just do that hand, it just makes your hand look relaxed. Right. So anyway, it works. So anyway, I did it. So he says, look, I'll develop the pictures and call me tomorrow, and I'll let you know. And I said, okay. So I called the next day, and he said, Tom, we have a problem. I said, what, the pictures didn't come out good or what? No, I have a client here from Gillette, and they want to use you. And you're not even with an agency. And I said, well, I don't know what to do. He said, no, you got to go over. I want to send you over to bookings. And the girl there will know exactly what to do with you. And I went, oh boy, I don't know what's going to happen with this. But anyway, I signed and I went and did the job. And then all of a sudden, I was doing Sears and, you know. And with Avedon, I mean, he gave, and Scavullo, both Avedon and Scavullo said, you're too big to be a model. You should be with a woman and children, and you're just too big. You're too manly looking. I said, well, aren't you supposed to look like a guy? Come on. And I really, you know, and it's hard to not take that personally because it really makes you feel weird when they say something like that. But anyway, I was Sears catalog, Montgomery Ward's catalog, and I really made a damn good living being a fashion model. Really, I mean, I was everywhere, and I'm trying to think of the first time I ran into Gene Red's son, and Gene Red Sr. I worked with at King Records, and Gene Red, his son was also named Gene, and Gene was the one who did he did records for Delight, and he had a label called Red Coach.
I recently interviewed Robert Colbell. He talked to me about it.
Oh, that's from Coolin Event. Yeah, well, I got a story about that too.
So you run into Gene.
All right, I ran into Gene, and Gene said, I'm going down to Jesse James' place because I'm gonna mix my record. And I thought, okay, yeah, let me go down. You know, it'd be nice to see that side of it. So I went there, and he said, Tom, I got a phone call. Just, you know, you can sit in here and, just fool around a bit if you want. So, I thought, oh, wow. I hit this and hit that, and the drums are here, and this is here. And I'm just trying to do things and and I really didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. And afterwards, he said, wow, he said, came back, he said, and I'm playing. And he said, no, I stopped it. And he goes, no, let me hear it again. He's listening. He said, geez, Tom, that's not bad. And he said, you want a copy of that? And I went, yeah. And so he gave me a little reel of tape of it, and that was the first time. That was 73. That was the first time I'd ever been. It Really Hurts Me, Girl by the Carstairs, which is a top 10 Northern Soul record. I still don't believe that song. I mean, the BBC. I got to tell you, when the BBC came here because I became so popular, let's say, and they say, we're in the apartment of Tom Moulton of the Carstairs fame. And I went, the Carstairs? I said, the Carstairs? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you must. It was a big record. And I said, oh, I thought they made a mistake. I said, look, you people made a big mistake. That's not me. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's not me. I'm sorry, but you made a mistake. You have to leave. They had all this shit set up here, and I was embarrassed. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna make you get this big buildup, and then, oh no, we made a mistake. We'll see you later. I mean, you feel like
only Americans make those kinds of mistakes.
Oh, but these were British.
I understand.
No,
yeah.
But I did. But I was they're saying, oh, this and that. And they go, oh, you didn't do that record? And then no. And then hold on a minute. Oh, it got me on my cassette. And when I heard, dan, 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 I said, oh my God. No, but I didn't do that. Oh, yes, you did, Mighty. It's right on the record. And they put, when I started to make a name for myself, they put that record out in the UK, and it became top 10 Northern Soul record. And still, I mean, I love that record, but I didn't know what I was doing even. But I mean,
is that not sort of this common thread from what you're telling me about your life? That you have this just an idea, and you sort of assume a position, and then you like the position, and then you get confident in the position, and then something happens, and you're in Denmark and a tooth falls out, and
Now,
you
as I look back, I connect all the dots, and I thought, and then
it's
you
so much
say,
of it.
and
My
then
point,
no, but then the religious thing comes in.
right, but hang on. So, but my
Yeah.
point is, they say that luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Okay.
So you're in Denmark, you meet this guy, you go for dinner, something happens with your tooth.
Well, but he was only inviting me to dinner because of the thing in the bar, like V go home,
I understand, but what I'm saying is that these points of light that in theory are not connected at all are ultimately completely connected, but not at the time.
Right.
So you see that, and that therein lies, and that's one of the reasons I do these interviews, because I will tell you, and I've done quite a few. Every interview that I've done, I hear very interesting stories that no one ever really talks about. And that's really what makes us, you see. That's what the history is. That the music almost, pardon the metaphor, is a backdrop to your life, and then it becomes the forefront of your life.
I know, but then when I got, when I did that, I still remember. Well, that's how I met this guy, John White. He was at the modeling agency. He was at bookings, and so Roberta, that's her name. Roberta said, "Oh, why don't you, say hello to John?" And he looked like this very elegant, elderly. I thought he was British, and she said, "No, he's just affected." So anyway, so hello Tom, how are you? Talk very like this very stuffy and British. How are you? I mean, and I thought he was British. She said, "No, he's just affected." I never heard that word before in that way. But anyway, and he had this place called the Botel on Fire Island, and so Roberta said, "Well, he's got music out there, and maybe you should go out there." I said, "I don't want to go out to Fire Island," and I had no interest in it. And anyway, somebody talked me out into going, and I went there, and I mean, to see so many white people dancing to black music, I mean, that really threw me for a loop, because my entire life was, you're white, you should listen to white music. And then, my mother would say, "Where'd you hear that record? Why'd you buy that record?" And I go, "Well, I heard it. Mickey was playing it. Next door college kid was playing it." I said, "God, I just love the record." "Well, you shouldn't be buying records like that." And I go, "Why?" And uh, and my first record was like Lottie Miss Claudie by Lloyd Price. And I mean, I just loved that groove. And I mean, how can you not? And we were never exposed to that kind of music unless you listen to those kind of stations. So I always felt odd because I preferred the black music to the white music.
Me too.
And you kind of had, so I felt, you know, and then, I wanted to go up to him. "Oh, you like black music too?" That's really what I wanted. No, I know. No, but I really wanted to say that to people, because they were like, let's stay together. And I mean, they're so into that music. I said, "Man, that's me. That's
Tom
me."
finds a friend.
No, I know. No, I know. And I was so I said, and this DJ, so it get to the end of the song, this other song would come in, it would be such a mess that people walk off the floor. And I kept, so finally I said, there's gotta be a way to do this. And I'm watching people dance, and I notice they all walk off on one. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they walk off. They don't walk off on 2 or 3 or 4. They always walk off on one. And so I said, let me see if I can try some. Well, it literally took me 80 hours to do a 45-minute tape. And man, that thing was so perfect. There was no way that somebody would walk off. There was no way that anybody would walk off the floor unless the sound system went off.
Were they edited together or mixed together?
No. Well, I had this Revox tape recorder. And you call it sound on sound because if you record a song and then do it back a little bit, you can come in on top of another song. So you hear a little bit of, just a little bit, just so there's not an edit. It just flows from one to the other. And of course, I'm very speeding because I had a Technics turntable, I still do. And then I'm just slowly very speeding it because I want to get to the next. So I wanted it to start at this level and I wanted to end up on the mountain. And so that's what I did the whole thing. So I gave it to John and I went out there for the weekend. I hated it. I absolutely hated it afterwards because people were, taking. Somebody had a dish with pills in it, and they're going, and I mean, just shoving all these pills down their throat. I said, these people are sick. No, I really thought. I said, how can you take all these pills and then have a drink or whatever? I didn't get. And I never, were into drugs or anything. So. And that bothered me. So anyway, he told me, don't give up my day job. He gave me the tape. I said, Tom, don't give up your day job.
Up to 80 hours.
Yeah. So then I was sitting there. It was Sunday afternoon. I was sitting there and I'm sitting waiting for the boat, to take me back to the mainland. And if you walk like 10 steps, you'd be in a place called the Sandpiper. So this guy walked out and come over to me and said, are you okay? And I said, yeah. Well, you don't look okay. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you look like you lost your dog or something. I said, no, I just, and I told him, I said, the guy there, I had a tape and he's playing. He said, don't give up your day job. I said, oh, he's a bitch anyway. And he said, well, besides, he's our competition. And I said, and he says, look, if you want, I don't do the music. My partner does the music and I do the bar and restaurant. And if you want, I'll have him hear it. And, I said, well, I'm not coming back here. He said, well, look, just write your name and address. And I was a little leery doing that. He says, no, look, we'll send it back. And he said, put your phone number down too. And I said, you really have to have all that? He says, yeah, look, you want me to do it? If you don't? I said, okay, all right. And so I left. I didn't think anything of it. So I get a call on Friday night, that following weekend, a Friday night at, I guess it must have been 11 o'clock. Oh, they hate it. Oh my God, it's horrible. Oh, it's disgusting. I said, what are you talking about? He said, oh, that tape. Oh my God, it's just so dreadful. Oh, I kept saying, how can I be so wrong? And but I've always gone out on a limb for something if I believed in it. I'll always do that, because otherwise nothing new will ever be done if you don't go there. So anyway, 1 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, my phone rings. I go, hello. And I hung up and they kept calling back. So finally I just put the jack out of the phone and just left it in the other room. And I plugged it in again and the phone rang and he says, hello, is this Tom? I said, yeah. Well, this is Ron Malcolm. And I said, well, whatever it is, I am not buying anything. And he goes, no. I'm Gene's partner. I said, Gene who? He said, Gene Smith. Anyway, what happened was, and I said, wait a minute. Why are you telling me? You said, now you're telling me they loved it? He said, well, I tried to call you last night, but you kept hanging up. And I said, because it was 1 o'clock and I was sleeping. And I said, I finally unplugged the phone. He says, no, they love it. And I said, well, I don't know whose tape you played, but I only gave you one tape, so you must have played somebody else's tape. So I think you're calling the wrong person. No, 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 no. I played the same thing twice. I said, well, why'd you play it again if it was so dreadful? Well, what happens is when people come out on Friday night, this is what he told me. When people come out Friday night, they want to unwind. It's very stressful in the city. They want to unwind. They don't want to hear things that they've never heard before. They want familiar, friendly music so they can just unwind. And when Saturday comes along, and they spent the day at the beach, they relax, they're all nice and calm, they want to party. And what do they want to hear? They want to hear new stuff. He said, you got so much new stuff on there that they never heard of. They're going crazy over it. So he said, look, we want to hire you and we want you give us a tape a week. I said, you couldn't pay me enough to do that. I said, you know how long it took me to do that? Well, look, can we work out something where you just give me a tape for the holidays? I said, well, how many holidays you talking about? He says, 3. I said, I'm listening. He says, Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day. I said, all right, I can do that. And he said, we'll give you $500 a tape. And I thought, gee, $500, not bad. And it's something I love. And I had so much fun doing that. But I
And
mean,
Tom, have
it almost killed me to do it. I mean, it took so long to do.
you saved those tapes?
Oh yeah. In fact, Robbie Leslie had a set of them, and
Good man, Robert.
yeah, he got them.
So you do that for the Sandpiper rave reviews. Now you realize you're onto something.
So then, so now, mind you, I used to be in the music business. See, now I didn't want to, the slimy part, but this was like,
you don't want to do the promotion.
But this is creating. No, but this is totally different. You're creating something.
Right. So no more promotion, no more marketing.
Yeah.
Now it's completely creative.
I know, but there's something about creating something that just open. Oh, but I forgot to mention one little item, a little door opener. As a model, I think of the photographer's name. He was married to like Princess Margaret or something. He was a photographer here, and he booked me for bathing suit ads. And of course, this was for summer, and they were doing late winter. So we were out on Montauk, and it was a bright sunny day, but it was cold. And all I had to do was take it, do one of these, and I mean, you have to only have you hold it for a second. You can always fake it for a second, and you learn to do that when you become a model. You only it's just that 1 second that you can smile and look like it's like a hot summer day. But anyway, I did it, and it was cold. So we went back to the house. I guess he rented that for the day, and we went up, and it was cold. Oh my God, was it cold? And so he said, "Would you like some coffee?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "My God, I can't believe how cold I am." Anyway, so he went into the refrigerator and he goes, "Oh, there's a blender in here. Let's see." And then he looked, and it was, I don't know, it was like half full. So he poured it in a little glass, and he said, "Oh, it's a banana daiquiri." And I said, "I don't drink." And he said, "Oh, it'll just warm you up a little bit." I said, "But I really don't drink." He said, "Look, it just tastes a little bit." When I tasted it, it tastes like fruit juice. I said, "Oh yeah, give me some of that." So I drank it. Everything was fine. So I'm looking out, and mind you, we're on a cliff, and there's some music playing, and all of a sudden, I'm very much aware that the waves are in sync with the music. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe this. So I'm watching da-da, 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 splash, da-da-da, da, and then da-da, da. I went, how can that be? And I'm saying, oh my God, everything is relative. I said, how can, what's
Give me some
happening
more of
in
that
my
daiquiri.
mind? No, but I went, I mean, I understood life now. No, I mean, I know that it sounds funny, but all of a sudden, everything made sense to me. Everything. I don't care what I thought of. I went, that is that, and that goes to that, and that. And I said, my God, I never realized that life could be so, we make it complicated because we don't think in the right way and connect the dots. And then when I thought of going on the balcony and actually walking on the tips of the waves to the shore, then I knew I was mentally in another place I'd never been before. And then panic set in. And the coffee pot was about, I don't know, maybe 20 feet away because I was by the window. And I thought of walking, but I really couldn't move. So I thought, since I was in this amazing state, I looked, I said, well, if I fall down and pick myself up, I'd be closer to the coffee pot. And I looked at the time and it was like 3:10. So I fell down, did it again, fell down, did it again, fell down. And I went, see, that wasn't hard. Then it was 4 o'clock. And so I'm thinking, no, that took too long to do. But in my mind, it didn't time, there was no, time didn't mean anything. It was just, that was just a clock on a wall, And I never, I knew it took a long time, but it seemed like it was only, I just fell 3 times and, you relate to reality. But anyway, like I said, I just knew I was in a place that I shouldn't have been. So I got the coffee and I drank the coffee and I burned my whole throat. I couldn't feel it. I was like, so anyway, I got back to New York and oh my God, photographer, the agency, oh, we're sorry, blah, blah, blah. And it was LSD. And I thought, why would anybody want to do that? But what it did do, this is, once your mind goes someplace, you kind of remember how to get there. And like I said, with no strings, that da-da, 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 splash. I mean, it was just,
Safe to assume that on LSD.
So when I mix strings now, I go right back to that place.
Right. So is it safe to assume that as a result of that experience, you were able to see music, not just hear it?
Yes, but I saw how things could move in music. I mean, all of a sudden, everything is relative. I mean, it's amazing. I'm always trying to connect dots now, only because
this story is amazing. So this is what I want to do. Your life is clearly more than one interview. Absolutely more than one interview. The stories you've told me already are just, they're fucking mind blowing. So this is what I'd like to do, because it's now approaching 6 o'clock. I know you have stuff to do. I know you have, it's crazy, right? I know, are you still on LSD? I'm not. So I know you have stuff tomorrow. And
I'm church folk. I don't take that garbage.
Friday. Can we interview you again for the second part of your story next week, please?
Yeah, sure. But I like I said, I'm going away tomorrow again for a few days to get more of my stuff. So
all right. So I'm going to connect with you. You're going to give me another time that works for you, because the next part 2 of this interview, and I've never done a 2-parter, but this is fucking brilliant.
No, but I mean, no,
It's Tom, because you cannot script things like this. This is life. So this is what I want to do.
yeah, but I
Part
mean,
two-
but that's what happened.
I
shit
know.
but shit happens to everybody.
Well, yes, but there were some people who take experiences and it dissuades them from ever
No,
moving
but you got
forward.
to remember something. See, no, no,
Finish. There are
no,
some
but let me say
that
one thing because
take
I don't want to
these
lose this.
experiences and it launches them, and I hate to say this, but to like almost another dimension, and that to me is what happened to you.
Oh, I thought you were talking another dimension, Twilight Zone. You know,
No, no, but it is, but it
no,
is.
no, but you have to remember something. I also believe, okay, that I don't care what happens to you, you can either focus on the bad part of it or what did you learn from it. And I always see the good of something. Well, that's the other reason I answered you when I saw the cats.
So on that note, I'm going to
Yes,
say to be continued.
but I
Next
don't
week,
do that.
part two,
All right,
Tom Moulton, the legend. Next week, Tom.
all right,
God bless you.
all
And
right.
let
You
me tell
too,
you something,
Brad.
real men love cats.
Yeah, I believe that too. So,
See ya.
all right, bye-bye.
All right.
Ciao.